Hi, welcome back. We are about ready to build on another signature, and I've got it all cut and laid out. I am going to add two different die borders throughout the album in different places. So this is the front. This piece here is 112 by 12. And it came out of the core packet. It has the cat on the front. It's got the lilies over here. I'm going to use the chipboard element to add some depth, so we're going to cover that cat. I took a quoted saying. It says, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift." That's going to go here. And then when we get to the inside, these came from the patterns packet, and I'm kind of leaving them alone. I'm not doing anything with them. Here's another one that came from the patterns packet, but this one I'm doing something a little bit different. And you can see that I have added a solid circular border as compared to this border here. I liked this border on the front because it kind of matches some of the rings that you see in the paper collection. But for this one, if I can get this out of here without tearing it. Okay, so this piece, this is a 12 by 12, and I cut this one to fit my cardstock, and we'll get to the measurements in a little bit. I did trim around the door. I am adding a magnet. I'm adding a embellishment that I have. I'm treating it as a door handle. It's really some bolt screw thing. On this side, so this one I cut to get the door in. This one I cut it to get this figurine in. It looks like he's a warrior. And I had to cut a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom in order to get him to fit in here the way I wanted him to look. And then behind this door, we're going to very carefully take one of the cutout cards, and it's going to come in behind the door. So to add a little bit of color, something to change the design here. Then we're going to turn the page, and from the patterns, we're going to, I love this paper, so we're going to play with this. It's the 12 by 12 patterns. From your cut apart page, I am cut out this emblem. I always forget what to call this thing. It drives me crazy. And I cut this one out. Now I do have in the ephemera and the chipboard, I do have these elements, but they're going to be too bulky for me to use on this particular signature. So I want to use them someplace else. So I've cut them out, matted them on black cardstock. I'm going to tape across the very bottom here, and I'm going to use them as tucks. Now this particular piece of paper also came from the 12 by 12s, and I have cut it. We're going to cut out a couple of the gems and strategically place them on here as a tuck. I didn't want to cover up the images here. And then we're going to flip in here, and this piece of paper came out of the core packet. So I've cut it to fit, and I wanted to see the color. So I've cut them. I took about a 3-inch section out of the middle when I cut these because I wanted the color on this page. And then I went to my scraps and pulled this out. We're going to make a small little pocket. And on the pocket, we're going to use one of the chipboard elements to glue that on, as well as on this side. And then in here, we have a long pocket. I've used a circular die, and you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want to do. You could use ribbon, you could use something similar, or not do it at all. That is entirely up to you. And what I did was, in my scraps, I found this piece, and it complemented this element down here, so I'm using that as my part of my pocket coverage. And then we're going to have this beautiful, beautiful butterfly down here. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to start putting this together, and I'm going to start giving you some measurements. Your base page is going to measure at 8 1/4 across by 8 1/4 high. This, and you can make this as big or as small as you want, but this measured at 2 1/8, and then I've got the height of my die here. And obviously the length is the 8 1/4, it's the length of the base page. And then I cut this down to about 2 inches, just enough so that I had some little bit of black on the edges. Now, these dies here were kind of an afterthought, and I may have to cut a couple of different strips in order to get a little bit more height on those. I don't like to see big gaps of black, so we'll see what we get there to put them together. All right, so let's start gluing this in. I'm going to come down here and just gently lay that in place. Oops, get back over there. There we go. Take the tape off. Let's get this added in here. And I'm going to do a little bit of a snip right down here. I have some overhang. And then I'm going to put the butterfly in here. I'm not going to put it in any particular spot. I don't want to put it straight on, so I am going to angle it a little bit, give the eye something different to look at. So there we go. And I'm going to make sure I didn't glue through. No, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so now we're going to start getting into some of these measurements, and then I'll make the decision if I'm going to recut that piece. All right. I am not including these in my measurements, only the cardstock that I've cut, because you're going to decide whether you want to do this, something similar to it, and you're going to control how wide that ends up being. So this is coming in at 5 1/8, and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. And then we're going to lay our first piece in, which is this. Now I've already inked everything. And then we're going to come over here and do this one. And this measured in at 5 1/8, scoring it at a 1/2 inch. And I am thinking about adding a magnet, a small one, just to kind of help encourage these to lay down. So if I do, I need to do it now because I want it here and then on the back side of this. So let's get a couple of small ones. Whoops. Oh, they are just taking off on me. Now I'm going to try to do something because I should have put this on before I added this. So how am I going to do this? Oh, let me see here. I don't know if I know what I'm doing here. Oh, you know what? That's not going to work anyway because it's going to come right here. So I got to take it off. Oh, but I know what I could do. But now I have the tape on the wrong side. So we're going to do it like that. Okay, so it's just a little bit of a touch so that it will stay in place. All right, so now I did it wrong. I am so not happy with myself. You know, I try to paper clip things so that I know that what I'm putting together is going to be in the right spot. These are not, so I'm going to take this paper off. Oh, goodness sakes. I'm going to flip it around so I can put it over here. You know, you just try to get it right, and it just doesn't always work. It's either that or I've got to change, because I'm going to make a mess of this. I'm going to make a mess of this, because that means this is going to go here. That's okay. I'm just going to flip this. I'm sorry I'm taking up your time trying to decide what I'm going to do with this. But then this means my cut is going to look a little off, a little weird. All right, well, it is what it is. I'm not going to mess with changing the paper because it means I'm going to also mess with the magnet. I'll just do better next time keeping my papers lined up. Now I've got myself flustered and I'm gluing this, and I have a magnet and I should have taped it. All right, so let's go ahead and add our tucks. I'm just gonna add glue to about 3 of the stars. I'm gonna sit it up here, glue that down. Now I have another gem floating around here someplace. Where did it go? I'll find it. It'll show up. But like I said, this will give us a nice little tuck right here. All right, so let's go ahead and finish putting this on, and then I can see about cutting for these 2 pockets. And I didn't ink them, so that's okay, because then I'll know if I didn't waste ink. So if I put this, I want to come right up to there. Oh, it'll be, this one will be okay. So let's slap some ink on there. And then we'll go ahead and get it glued in. I love this piece of paper. It is so bold, but man, does it have some color in it. Okay, I'm going to line it up here on the outside. I want it flush there because it will blend in on this side here. And then using one of the chipboard pieces of a planet, and I'm going to put it right there. Then we're going to open it up, and we're going to repeat on this side. Oh, there's my gem. I knew it would show up. Okay. Line it up here at the edge because again I want it flush. I'd rather have any excess here on this end. Now is this going to sit in there? Yep. So let's get some ink on this. There's a lot of chipboard elements, but not as many ephemera as I envisioned. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just miscalculating. So we'll be playing with a lot of chipboard pieces and probably some of the cutouts so that we've got some. Now this is the base. This is a gem. And now you don't have to do gems. I am, because I'd like to have a little bit of a tuck on these pages. And I just put that on the wrong. I'm such a ding-ding. I wanted to cross the top of the gem. Roll back the excess, and then I'm just going to put it over here. And there we've got another nice little tuck. You still have room to put a photo. Now I'm using the moon. I've inked it. I think it looks really good inked. Black around that goldish bronze. I'm going to put that down here as a pocket element. Okay, so far so good. Now we'll get to this page. So you're going to cut from this, you're going to be cutting the pieces for each panel, and you'll cut each to fit your cardstock. And then whether you want to use these elements or don't use an element at all, because you've got a lot of elements here to use, but it's going to go down here as a tuck. Whoops, you know what I want to do? I need to give you some measurements and get this on first. So this, that's my edge. So this is measuring in at 5 7/8 across. You're going to score it at 1/2, and then you're going to score it at 5/8. And when you put it in, I want you to put it in so that the 5/8, this gusset, is coming up and wrapping over what we've just added on. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to have a lot of bulk. So I usually turn them over, but I'm going to try and put it on this way so I can make sure I don't have any tape showing up. Okay, and it puts my gusset here at the end where I want it to be. So now on the inside, we were playing with this. I'm going to go ahead and glue it in. My brain, as I'm looking at this paper, my brain is kind of like, what can I do with this? What can I do with this? Offer some different elements. Okay, take some of the tape off the back of this. And I'm just going to come up about 1/4 inch, center as best as possible, and I'm done with that side. So as not to confuse myself, we are going to go ahead and work this other panel, and it should be the same measurements at 5 7/8, obviously by the 8 1/4. And that went fairly easy for me, so I'm going to try doing it here again. I can see where my gusset marks are, where my tape is. Okay. And once again, my gusset's on the end. Now let's take this one and we're going to glue it in. I think I got to refill this. It's making that spitty noise. Now I am pulling it a little bit more to my left. I'm going to have more here along the gusset, but I'd rather have the extra black here than to see the seam here from my die cut that I put on. And now the hand. I put a little bit of tape across the bottom of it, and it's just going to come here about 1/4 of an inch up. And it creates a nice little tuck here. So this is what you have. So that didn't turn out too bad, the fact that I got these flipped. Okay. And now we're going to work on putting the paper on this, on the reverse side. But I'm going to start over here. So once again, when I cut him, I had cut my cardstock first, and then I came in and I kind of lined him up, made my tick marks for where I wanted him to be. So for you, just to let you know, from his feet, he's about 1/2 inch, and from his head, he's 1/2 inch. So if you could measure and cut 1/2 inch in between here, then he should fit in here. Let me measure that again, because eyeballing it looks more than 1/2 inch. No, it's 1/2 inch. It's 1/2 inch. I wanted his image to look like he was looking at the door that we're about to build on the other side. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's build this. So it's a bit tricky. So what I did is I cut right along the top of the door, down the side of the door, and it looks like not quite 1/4 of an inch, little bit more than 1/8 of an inch up from the bottom, so the bottom of the door. And then I scored on my scoreboard this side so that this would open up. Now we're going to have a magnet over here. There's not much we can do about that. But it is what it is. We have to deal with that magnet sometimes when we're putting it into things. So then we're going to get that all glued down after we get this centered. And I want to get my magnet down, so hold on here. Let me take the tape off. And then I'm going to line this up. Commit my magnet. Ta-da! Well. And then what I want to do is I want to get this centered in there. I was playing around with it earlier, and it looked like I had to come all the way down to the bottom. Almost. The idea here for me was not to see or see very little of the teal blue edge that is around this, but I need that edge to glue this in place. So now I've kind of got it where I want it. So I'm going to do this so that I've got a guide as to where this is going to place back in again. You might have a different method. part in my head, but I need to see what I've done here. Okay, so now I'm gonna, it's kind of a little bit too late if it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm gonna see a little bit more teal on this side than I wanted, but it's okay. All right, but that's what it's gonna look like once the door opens. Okay, so to get this on there effectively, I am going to glue around the door's edge, being very careful as not to glue the door. Now, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. It's your album. It is so warm. It hit 90 here today, so I'm kind of in a little bit of swelter, and this glue is drying faster than I want it to, so I'm gonna have to hurry up here. Magnet is helping me place this. 90 in the Pacific Northwest is kind of a sweltering, sticky, icky heat. All right, now this guy, he will attach to the magnet, but I think I'm going to stick him on there with a little bit of glossy accents. Now, do I want the door? I want the door handle to go this way because I'm treating it as a door handle. This is the last one of these embellishments. I got them from Prima when a designer. Okay, now I gotta see where it's. I'm trying to remember what her name is. I don't know if there's any of these still out there. All right, so this will lay down. Okay, so then there's my door. Here's the dude looking at the door, so you can lay this either way. And now we're going to finish with the last page. So on this one, I used more of a swirly because there's these circular swirls here in the paper, and I thought that that would just be a good complement. All right, this piece here is going to measure at 6 and 7/8 across, and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score it at 3/4 of an inch. And then this is going to come and sit in here. We want this gusset to wrap up over what we've built up right here. So I'm going to try and do that once again from this position rather than turning it over. Because I don't want to see that tape. And I want to come right up next to that gusset, not on it, right up next to it. And see, look at that. It allows that gusset to stand up nice and straight. So I'm pleased with that method. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this side, and it is, I do believe, the exact same measurement coming across at 6 7/8, scoring it at a 1/2 and scoring it at 3/4. And then I'm going to lay this right up next to that 1/2 inch score. And that just lays over so beautifully. All right, a couple of magnets. It's a big build. I want this to stay down, and I don't want lifting this to tweak one magnet. So we're going to put 2 large magnets on here. And I'm going to put it on this side because I don't care where it places here. I care where it's going to come against the edge over here, because it will be far enough on the inside edge there for it to be okay. All right, so I'm gonna, now when I pull these together, oh, didn't let go of my finger. When I pull these together, I'm gonna make sure that my edges are even, that they're together. Like this one's sticking up and I don't really like that too much. I think maybe I just need to trim her down a little bit more. Better. All right, I want to make sure that my tops and my bottoms are where they're supposed to be. Make sure that your gussets are standing up the way they're supposed to be, and then you can commit to the magnets. A little bit of a slide. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's finish up our inside. So this came out of your core design. No, yeah, it came out of the core design because it's got a pattern on the back. All right, now I'm going to glue this one. I can hurry up and get it done, but I'm going to tape the other one because of the two magnets. Being mindful of my gusset. All right, that one's done. And then I'm going to tape this one in. And then I was going to do something with this side, and I changed my mind, but I'll share it with you. So if it's something you think you want to go ahead and do, then you can. Let me get there first. All right, bring this back to me a little bit so you can see and I can see. I don't want to get on that gusset, so we want to stay off of that. Okay, I'll show you what I was going to do here. And then I changed my mind. So on these two pages, I just love the images. And I really didn't want to change them. I didn't want to add pockets. I just loved this flow. But I came really super close, close enough that I inked it and put on some tape that I was going to take this chipboard element and place it right here, and thus creating a pocket. And I got to thinking about it. It's awful bulky. though I love the idea, but I think I'll save it. But if you want to do that, you can. It will be just another little extra element for you. All right, so now we're going to add these. And once again, I cut these so that I tried to get as center as I could on the circle here in the center. And then I trimmed the tops to fit. I'm going to turn it over less bulk so I can burnish from this side. Okay. Now over here, I am playing with a couple of elements if I can find them. There are a couple of chipboard pieces, floral ones. I'm using, there's one that fits just beautifully right here. And then this was the largest of the green leaves, and I'm putting it right here just so that there is a different look and some depth and a different appearance here. I came really close. I was starting to fussy cut this out, and I got to laying it down here, and it's just too many variations. It would be off, and I didn't want that visual. So I stuck with the chipboard pieces. I inked them so that there was a little bit of depth and shadow to them. All right, so that side's done. I just screwed up. No, I did put magnets, thank goodness. I thought I totally lost myself here. What a ding-ding. I'm so wrapped up into this, I'm not paying any attention. Okay. This piece. Okay, big deep breath, I'm okay. So we're going to tape this in, and then we're going to use this chipboard element. It fits perfect. You got to twist it just a little bit, but it fits perfect over the image that's on there, so it gives it some nice height, a little bit of depth, some character to the front of the signature. The heat must be getting to me, that's my excuse. I thought I forgot my magnets. I'm just going to line this up. Not sure where that tape is, so I'm just going to kind of burnish all over. Let's just give it a good burnish. Okay, this quoted saying is going to go here at the top. And I'm going to go ahead and take these backs off, make a mess on my workstation. It's a mess anyway. Okay, I'm just going to kind of eyeball, kind of center it. It's raised up a little bit so that there's some depth. And now we're going to commit the beautiful cat. I'm going to cover him fairly well because he's kind of a big element. I don't want him popping off. Okay, I found it the easiest to hold on to the tail and then from there start adjusting, get the paws in place. Shift his top part a little bit so that I can cover the wings underneath. And ouch, just poked myself. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm putting kind of some tops, whoops, some light back here. Putting the tops back on, and then we're going to grab some. I'm going to use, it's a thick 1/4 inch signature. It's got some bulk to it, so I'm going to use a 5/8 tape to do my framing on the back, and then I'll put a couple of strips here down the center to help support the weight. Now, if you're just watching along and you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would. That way you also get notified when I post a new video. It doesn't mean you have to watch them. You can just check and see what the video is about and then look through it or not and keep on moving. But at least by subscribing, you'll get notified of any new tutorials. So as I did in a previous album, I like to keep these gaps at about 3/8 of an inch between where the end of my signature comes, so I can keep it off of the seam here. I don't want it interfering with the fold because then the signature, if it's way back here, it starts to hang up in the gusset that's here. So in order to help with some of the visual aid on what I was doing, I am now adding this strip, one to help me because I'm playing with black a lot and trying to mount black onto black. You get this dizziness going because you can't see what you're doing. Now I'm going to bring this gusset right up to this edge. And then I'm going to make sure that my top and bottom, that did not work out very well. Make sure that my top and bottom edges here are even here. And you know what? I am going to also, I'm going to do that because that's going to help quite a bit. So I can see what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to press so I can get some of that tape to adhere. I'm going to come in here, beep, 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 beep. Nice big signature. I hope you don't mind. Gives you lots of photo opportunities. It went that way. And now we'll get this tape off of here. And then when you pull that end of the tape off, always make sure that your gusset is flat. That way it's not folding in on you. And you don't see that funny roll take place. Excuse me while I get in here and pick this one out. Now, when I'm holding this up because I don't want to put it down yet because I've got one more strip of tape to take out, and this will help me make sure that this gusset over here is standing straight up the way it's supposed to and not folding. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. I don't want it come in and fold like this so that the gusset ends up being on top. I want it on the end. All right, let's get back in here. Let's give ourselves a good burnish. All right. Okay, that was a pretty big one, but we made it through. Thank you for hanging in there, and I'll see you on the next build. Bye-bye.